Max, just going to get your thoughts in terms of, when you and your teammates get off to the kind of start you did tonight, how does that change the game and just maybe the flow or the energy? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was also something that was part of the game plan, was kind of had to jump on him tonight. Balo, the last 5 games, have been averaging about 36, 37 minutes. So we knew a way to kind of tap into his legs was playing at a faster clip, getting up and down. But I think, we kind of learned from last game, Northwestern, with a little bit of a flatter start. Teams aren't just going to go hand it out and give it to you. So had to make sure everybody was ready off the rip. But I think the guys did a good job preparing for this one.
Jim.
If I get all three of you guys to answer this just for some different perspectives, I don't need to remind you that 4 months ago you guys were picked to finish tied for 12th in the Big Ten. And
We don't care.
I'm just curious, even if you don't care, here's my question. What do you think people underestimated the most about this team?
I don't know. Toughness. We're resilient. I mean, we didn't care at all what the rankings said. We knew what we had in that locker room, and we were going to go game by game throughout the season. And we knew that every night we were going to give 110% effort, and we knew what we had, and we really did not care what other people thought. So, yeah.
To pick up on that, I feel like a lot of people just go based off of names. So people seen a lot of names leave, and then seen names come in that they didn't really know. And then a lot of people didn't really know the names that we already had here too as well. So I feel like everybody was just basing it off the names that they seen leave. And then everybody can have those opinions off of those names, but you never know what you have. And we knew what we had, like Nolan said, so that's why we, once again, don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, I think a huge credit to the coaches as well for, teaching us throughout the off season, chatter don't matter. That was kind of our saying. So their development with us throughout and just getting our mindsets right for the season, that was huge.
Michael?
Knowing that Balo matchup seemed a lot more difficult for you a year ago than it did tonight, I guess, what aspects of your game have grown the most where you feel much more comfortable when you go up against a guy like that?
Yeah, just in the weight room with Coach Snyder. Obviously, that's huge. I got a ways to go with that still, but just kind of a little more confidence out there going up against him, and not even from the strength aspect, but more so just kind of footwork and technique. Going through the Big Ten season last year kind of taught me a lot how to guard the bigger and stronger guys, because I know that there's a lot of them. So just kind of using my footwork and kind of working them out a little bit. That's all I'm trying to do. So just kind of throwing my body out there, doing what I can, and credit to my teammates for helping me out down there too. So yeah, it was huge. It was good to get in the weight room this summer with Coach Snyder.
Max, second straight game where you kind of in double figures. You're hitting the 3, but you're also kind of slashing, getting to the rim, and that's kind of helped with your facilitating. How has that kind of all come together, in back-to-back games, and how has that kind of tapped into the facilitating aspect that you have as well?
Staying aggressive, knowing all these dudes trust me, all the coaches trust me, put me in positions to be successful. Credit to them, but just having the same mindset of attacking whoever's in front of me each night, knowing that if we put enough pressure on the rim, stuff's going to open up for other people on the floor. So, but I think it all kind of starts with, not me specifically, but everybody's mentality defensively, knowing if we can lock stuff up down there on the defensive end. Our offense is so natural and free-flowing that it's easy to play on that side of the floor.
Ben?
Max, I know you guys do team defense quite a bit, but I know Steve took Balo's play last year a little personally. It seemed like he was aggressive right from the start against him, and that kind of helped open up other things defensively. What did you see from Steve in attacking that matchup, and how that helped the rest of you kind of start flowing to Balo and shutting him down tonight?
Yeah, like you said, I think Steve kind of took that personally, what happened at Arizona last year. We all kind of felt a little bit embarrassed by how we performed there. And we knew he was going to be a huge part in getting a win tonight and shutting him down and kind of slowing him down as much as we could. But, I want to give credit to both, Nolan, Steve, Gilly for banging around in there, Greppy coming in there at the end. Just being grown men and playing Big Ten basketball. He's massive, he's huge. Arms go forever, so it can be maybe a little bit daunting, but I thought our 4s and 5s did a great job taking that challenge head on and really digging in defensively and shutting him down for the most part tonight.
Michael?
No, and even against bigger guys, how effective do you think your offensive rebound can be if you just can get a hand on and tap out to guys?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, every possession I'm trying to go and get hands on as many balls as I can offensively, rebounding. So, whatever I can do to try to get an extra possession for us and get another look at the bucket, it's what I'm doing out there.
Kind of for any one of you three, transition has been, a big part of the last 2 home games. You guys get out to 19-2 starts. How is that and also feeding into the crowd kind of helped you guys get out to starts where you guys don't really look back after that?
Transition is a big key, especially like when Claire said we wanted to tire Ballo out because we knew how much he played, and we just know like teams really struggle with our running, like because our bigs run. It's not just our guards; it's all 5 running down the court, and like with the spacing that we have, it's just like it's fun to play with, especially when we come home and do it, and the crowd is feeding into it, like just and playing with that joy. Like we have fun when we get to run in transition, so that's why we keep working on it, making sure we condition and then make the other team have to guard it.
Right in front of you, please.
Well said, Cam.
Cam, what's working for you so well in the corner this season, especially? I mean, you're knocking down everything. All you guys are laughing about it.
Honestly, just being ready. I feel like my last 2 years here, I wasn't always ready to shoot. And my teammates are actually finding me. So, just me being ready and having that confidence to knock it down. And my teammates always have the confidence in me. If I miss one, they tell me to keep shooting and make the next one. So, just having that confidence and all the work. Like, if you've seen how many shots I took from the corner, you'll know why. It's going in a lot.
In the back, for any of you guys, when you guys hear the crowd chanting MVP for Carter, kind of how cool is that? What does that mean to
Unbelievable.
the team?
It's beautiful.
Love it.
And kind of how much of a spark does he provide? Kind of what does he mean to you guys?
It's hard to put into words, but I want to put Kamari, I call you Killa, Kamari in that category too. The energy level and just the commitment to everything that goes into the game plan raises. The bar does not drop. Everything gets put to another level. It's just the work finally, showing. Light getting shed down on, the extra hours in the gym, in the weight room, in the sauna, whatever you had to do to get yourself better every single day. It's finally come out, and we're all happy.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak
awesome.
for everybody, but man, it's awesome.
It's awesome to see, for sure.
Hey, Greg, obviously it helps to see some of the shots go in, but for Max tonight, 6 assists, no turnovers, a couple of steals. How have you seen him kind of settle in these last couple games and really impact things on both ends like tonight?
Yeah, I think he's always impacted the game in a positive way, and I know he hasn't shot it exceptionally well up until the last second half of Northwestern, and obviously better tonight. But he does a lot of little things that help us win. I think just the emotional leadership that he brings. I thought he was a big part of our start, not only offensively but defensively. Everybody's going to look at what we went 6 for 7 or whatever from 3 to start. It was the defensive end. I felt we were really got control of the game early, made it difficult for them to get going and get what they wanted. And Max was a big part of that, just with his presence, obviously, but also the vocal leadership that he brings.
Coach, you guys, I'm guessing, came into this game wanting to kind of neutralize the front line and the way they can pound the paint at times. Felt like you switched a lot more, especially early in that game, than maybe you typically will. What did you just like about your interior defense and all 5 guys kind of staying connected? Where Renew and Ballo only combined for 9 field goal attempts, 26 points in the paint. I think 8 shots at the rim tonight for the entire Indiana team.
I think it starts, obviously everybody focuses on the big-to-big matchup with Crowell and Winter and Renault and Ballo, and obviously 2 really good players for those guys. But I felt it was important for us to keep the ball out of the paint, and I thought our ball screen coverage and our defense to be able to hedge and shock and keep the ball going east-west and not allow it to get deep penetration was important, because they're really good when they can play 2-on-1 downhill. Obviously, Galloway finds Ballo rolling. Rice finds Ballo rolling. So to try to prevent the ball from getting downhill as much as possible where we got in trouble or where we had to rotate and stop it. And I think the other thing is when the ball did go in, we were really connected and active and digging, crowding the post player, digging it loose, and firing out of that, covering for each other. There was a few possessions where we scrambled and, coming out of that dig, they ran to whoever was open. We didn't necessarily, it's not a double team, but when we come scrambling out of it, we stunt and take the next guy and cover shooters. So I felt they did a really good job of, especially early, like I said, being really connected and active and aggressive in those scenarios.
In the back, Coach.
Another game where you guys come out really fast, especially at home. What are you saying to the guys in the locker room before, and what is it about this group in particular that seems to really come out of the gates hot?
Yeah, there's nothing, different. Anything we cover the basics, things we talk about, 4 or 5 points that really involve defending, rebounding, and taking care of the ball. And I think the biggest thing was just compete. I think that was the one message always at the end is you can never substitute for playing hard and playing smart and playing together. And this group is a very connected group. I mean, they enjoy hanging around with each other. They're a very loose group. They're very coachable, and they want to win. And their mindsets are all on that. And they understand when we come out and play hard and are aggressive. It's not always going to be perfect, but when we do get all firing on all cylinders, we're a handful for teams. So they just enjoy competing and the moments of the game. Like, they really embrace those and talk about that a lot, about how they want to they thrive in those and are excited for games.
Michael?
In what ways has Nolan grown in the past year where he could win a matchup against a guy maybe like Ballo who has more size than him and has more experience, I guess? Yeah,
I think obviously strength is one thing. I mean, he's heavier and stronger than he was a year ago, but I think the experience is the biggest piece. He's had a year under his belt now. He's guarded really good post players. Obviously, he saw what Ballo was like firsthand last year at Arizona. So he's a more confident, more aggressive, more seasoned player. And I think, too, it's, you have the combination of him and Steve together from an offensive standpoint, how they both can shoot the ball from three. It puts, defensive 4s and 5s in a little bit of a quandary at times because of his experience and how he's playing, too. I mean, it was always the question is, can we play them together? And I think he can guard 4s now. A year ago, he couldn't shift and move and keep up with mobile 4s. Like tonight, we had him guarding Luke Goody at times, so that's as mobile as a 4 or a hybrid forward as you're going to find. And his experience is really paying off for him.
Go ahead, please.
Coach, you've talked about it a good amount this year. The shooting from the 4s, both with the starters and the backups, that came in play today. I mean, Nolan hits 2 threes, Carter hits 3 threes. When you're able to kind of get that, especially with Carter coming off the bench and how the crowd kind of plays into it, what does that kind of mean for your team, and how are you kind of able to evolve offensively from that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a big part. That was a big part of our off-season planning of how we constructed this roster and what we needed to how we needed to build it. And Xavier Amos was a big part of that too, in terms of we need to have 4s that will shoot the ball and can shoot the ball. So it's part how we built this team. It's part the system that we're in right now and evolving in. And I think every day they get a little more confident and a little more really sure of themselves in their roles. And obviously Gilly's, his experience shows. I mean, it's whether he makes 3s or not, his experience and what he does on the floor, they don't stat everything, how positively he impacts the game. But obviously when he's making 3s, it's, the crowd gets into it. But to have 4s that can shoot it, and 5s, quite frankly, too. But typically, our 5s are middle ball screening and putting pressure on the rim, and then our 4s have options of sliding out or rolling, depending on the matchups. Tonight was a lot of slide outs with our 4s just because of how they were going to play. And so, yeah, when you got bigs that can shoot, we've had them here for years, but it's an important piece and it makes our offense that much better.
Jim?
I don't remember when you said it, but you seemed to imply that you thought this team had room to grow a couple weeks ago. Are you seeing that? Do you like what
Yeah,
you're seeing?
I like what I'm seeing. I think the thing about this group is they've kept a humility to them that they understand. They're very coachable. I mean, and I've said many times, talked about Tanjay because I get asked about John a lot, and just it's a great example of a guy coming in on his 6th year, and he's played at 2 other places and has played very well. You would think he would come in with, I'm holier than thou, so to speak, or I'm better. He's complete opposite. He is such a sponge. He wants to be coach. Like I said, he's been a great teammate, and that's always your concern when you have, in today's era, how is your culture of your locker room when you have sometimes musical chairs, and making sure we really have the right people that are really good players is important of that, as important as what you can do in a stat sheet, because if it's not chemically imbalanced and the chemistry is bad, it's not going to work. And he's been awesome in terms of his in the locker room, off the court, coachability, and obviously he's a heck of a player.
Go ahead, and then one in the back, too, please.
This was an Indiana team that's coming off a really efficient performance at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
You hold them 40% shooting, 25% from 3. Just what did you like about your defense tonight, and how were you able to kind of hold them in check?
Yeah, I thought we set the tone early. Obviously I mentioned before about making threes early, and we moved the scoreboard fast, but I thought we really were dialed in, and we were really making good decisions defensively, and at times we turned our defense into offense. So that was the main thing. I think we kept the ball out of the paint, and when it did get there, we were able to swarm and either force them into a tougher shot or force them to kick it out. So I felt we were really, connected, and again, keeping the ball out of the paint, off the dribble was a big piece of that.
In the back middle, Coach.
Greg, I'm just curious, with that, you were so efficient in that first 6 minutes scoring like you did. How much of that is scout and looking for, good looks that you think you might be able to get from them, and it kind of playing out that way, or was it just sort of random?
I think it's both. I think as we have evolved here offensively, they become more comfortable in pulling the trigger, I guess, so to speak, on good early shots. There was a stretch where we took a lot of mid-range jump shots, and they were auto-correcting in the huddle, like, we can't be taking those shots. Let's get the thing to the rim, or drive and kick threes and play that way like we had earlier. So it's a combination of both. I mean, I think having the versatility and the multiple, scorers that we can put on the floor from a variety of positions helps us. Somebody, and the defense has to make a decision. Who are they going to take away? Who are they going to, and the unselfishness of this group, how it moves. I mean, you have 13 assists on 26 baskets, and Klesmet with 6 assists. That just shows me the unselfishness of this group, and that's important for a really good offense. You have to be unselfish and a willing passer, and they just want to find who's open from Wisconsin. That's their mission, who's open, and they have confidence in everybody to let it fly.
One more question for Coach.
Coach, 11-4 fast break points tonight. 9 of those 11 points came from the 3. Has it been a point of focus this year to look for the transition 3 on the break?
Yeah, I mean, analytically, it's something we do really well. I think we're really good in transition, even though we're maybe not known as a transition team. Just the history that we've had here. But if you boil down, even though we don't have a lot of opportunities, we're really efficient. Our points per possession in transition are really high, and they were last year too. I mean, I think it's a little byproduct of the system and how we're playing, and it's a emphasis of let's keep coming in waves, and keep the pressure on with pace, and that's all part of the grand scheme of continuing to wear down opponents. Not going to happen. Not going to throw the knockout punch in the first 5 minutes, but let's keep coming at them, and over the course of time, if we continue to develop our bench, that's a weapon and a part of the whole plan of wearing teams down.